Now, it pains me to have to do this, but I'm going to do a video basically saying what happened to LEGO Marvel Superheroes. What happened to it? Now, this game is not a bad game, but it is a huge disappointment. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why. Because it doesn't make sense. Like I said, it's not a bad game. But basically, I'm going to go for everything that is kind of wrong with it. And I'm probably going to trade it in. Like, I've only had it for a day, and I'm probably going to trade it in. Because it's just not... I just don't have any oomph to play it. It's just... So, the single player, the actual campaign, I mean, it starts off good, because you're like, oh yeah, like, because Lego Batman 2 was amazing, and then Lego City Undercover was even better, and then, so you're like, yeah, first you're into it, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, and then, so one problem with the campaign missions is that they're really long, they're 30 minutes long, which is, it may not sound like a lot, but you're kind of wanting them to end, because they're so boring and repetitive, it is ridiculous. There's no variety in the campaign at all. At all. It's the same mission over and over again, essentially, really. And there's no variety. At all. At all. I don't understand how. Because Lego City and Lego Batman 2 had loads of variety. And that's the reason. And another problem with the game is the AI. The AI is horrific. I don't know what happened with the AI. I mean, I know Lego never had really the best AI in the world, but this is bad. This AI in this game is horrible. Your AI can't kill enemies, so you have to kill every enemy. You'll be going through the level, and then you'll need to change to another character to do a different thing, and your character will be halfway back down the level, and you're like, what the hell? Or he'll be stuck on something, and it's ridiculous. I don't know what happened. I don't know why the AI is so bad. It doesn't make sense. Another problem with the AI, with the campaign, is that there's too many enemies over and over again. It turns into a cluster. I can't say the F word, because it's a Lego game, I don't want to swear. It turned into a cluster. And you're just mashing the X button over and over and over and over and over again to freaking... To kill the enemies. Now, one thing the game... the one thing the game does amazing is the cutscenes. The cutscenes are probably the best they've ever been. And they put a smile on your face. They're really enjoyable to watch. There's so many supervillains and superheroes, it's ridiculous. And it's really awesome. And now, the game is... I mean, the game is really, in the levels anyway, the game's really good to look at. But it doesn't really help what essentially is really boring, repetitive gameplay. And the campaign's pretty short, 6 hours, 7 hours long. And you'll kind of want it just to end, because the missions get really boring, repetitive. And the boss battles, they visually impress, but they're basically the same thing over and over again. Wait for him to do something, and then do the same thing over and over and over again. And it's not very fun at all. Now, there are some really awesome moments in the game, but like I said, they're visual moments. They're not actual gameplay moments. They're visual moments. The actual gameplay stuff is boring. So, and like I said, the references, there's loads of references, movie references, they're awesome. The animations are amazing, they're great. Another problem with the game is look at the world. This is the world. You're thinking, oh look at that, it's massive. No, it's only this bit here. Just this bit here. And it's boring. Look how dull it looks. Look how dull and boring it looks. It's boring and dull as hell. Like, go back to Lego Batman 2 and Lego City and look how lovely, awesome the world looks. And this just looks grey and dull. It's disgusting. It just looks ugly. And Lego City was huge. Huge map. Like 3 or 4, 5 times the size of this. And this is tiny. It's like ridiculous. And if you look at the map, there's so much crammed into this little space. It's ridiculous. And another thing is the map is awful. It's just the map is just not very good at all. It's a pretty bad map. There's like nothing on here to really to say what any of this is. If you don't know what it is, you know. And the main problem in the game, it feels like it was rushed. It feels like it was rushed. It feels unpolished and it feels rushed. It feels like it was rushed out the door. Like didn't have enough time. Like or maybe they quickly made it. They quickly made it. It feels like a cash-in a way. Basically, they made a campaign that basically had the same levels over and over again. Not the same levels over and over again, but basically the same gameplay mechanics over and over and over and over again with no variety. And then what they did is they packed the map through with little things that are really insignificant and only take like 2 seconds to do. So it takes like 2 seconds to make, essentially. Because all these stuff, you feel like, wow, all this side stuff, but they take like 2 seconds. They take 2 seconds, and they're not substantial at all. Doing all this stuff, it's kind of enjoyable to go around and collect stuff, but it's kind of boring at the same time. If you've got nothing to do, maybe you can go around and collect stuff, but I mean that's about it really. Another thing is the driving. The driving is nowhere near as good as Lego City. How did that happen? How is the driving not as good as your last game? That makes no sense. Another thing is the controls are awful. There are races where you gotta fly Iron Man through checkpoints, and it's awful. It's not Superman 64 levels of awful, but it's still really difficult to control. So basically what you do is you hold A to go up and down, hold A to go up and down, and it's really unresponsive. It's super delayed, right? And so you move forward, you press double tap A to get a boost, right? So you might want to quickly just adjust your height, and you might double tap A by accident and then suddenly go phew, and then you've screwed up and you've got to go all the way back to the beginning of the start of the time trial race. And guess what? It doesn't put you back there. You've got to go back and find the beginning and find it and then start again. It's pretty bad. One thing I say, there's loads of characters. There's over 100 playable characters, but you know, as you can see here, loads of characters. But this is even screwed up, right? So basically, because there's over 100 characters, they couldn't fit it on one screen. So basically, what happens is they flicker, and you see Spider-Man, and then it's like a different character, and it's horrible. So basically, what you got to do is, if I press to pick Spider-Man there, it doesn't work. I have to press to pick Spider-Man now. So it's really bad. And as you see here, Iron Man, there's like 5 different types of Iron Man, and you got to go through it. Guess what? You don't actually get to go through it yourself. It goes through it automatically, and if you miss it, if you don't press A on the right time, you will miss it and you have to go around again. What the hell happened? What the hell? That makes no sense at all. Now, one thing that's pretty cool is, like I say, like the animations are really cool looking. Look at that. It's pretty awesome. That's awesome. And you obviously can go around as Spider-Man and do stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool. Let's get Iron Man back out. But I don't understand what happened. it's nowhere near as good. It's disappointment. Super disappointment. I don't know what happened. It feels lazy. It feels rushed. I don't get it. I don't get it. And because you're like, you wanna, I mean, there's some cool vehicles. And when you get in a plane, you can get planes and helicopters. And when you get in the plane and helicopters, you start to fly out. And you look at this world and you're just like, ugh. This is horrible. This is disappointing. You know, because the world's not big enough for planes. You literally get to one end of the world in like 2 seconds. It's ridiculous. They do some pretty cool things. As you can see up here, you got, if I go up here. And you see you got the shield helicarrier, which is pretty cool. But other than that, this is really the only cool thing in the actual world. Everything else is just boring down the ground, you know, generic streets, you know, boring stuff. Which doesn't make sense, because Lego Batman 2 was so amazing, and so was Lego City. So what happened with this game? How did they screw it up? What happened? Like I said, like, was this game made by a different, like, it was made by the same people, but was it made by a different team at their workplace, you know, at their studio? Because the AI is much worse than the other games, which doesn't make sense. Surely they would keep the same AI, and the driving is much worse than the other games, which doesn't make sense. How can you make the driving worse? How does that happen? And this doesn't make sense, and the controls are worse. Another problem is that in this game you can have literally up to like 5 characters. You can control up to like 5 characters at once, because obviously you got like the Avengers, and so sometimes they're all together at once. And trying to switch between characters is a pain in the ass. It's ridiculous. It's horrible. You're like, no, not that character, this character, not that character, this character. You know what I mean? You're trying to get to different character, and it don't bleeding work. And the game glitches a lot. You get stuck in areas. Controls, like I said, are very clunky and wobbly, which doesn't make sense because they were fine in the other games. And so, like I said, I don't understand what happened. I don't understand. What happened to Lego City? What happened to Lego City? What happened to Lego Marvel? Huge disappointment. I was so looking forward to it as well, because I love Lego City. Lego City Undercover, probably one of my favourite games of this year. And Lego Batman 2, one of my favourite games of last year. So what happened? What happened? Like I said, like, it does the animation. The animations are amazing. The cutscenes are amazing. But and the graphics in the levels are amazing. But that's not enough. The gameplay is terrible. It's awful. It's boring. It's repetitive. The boss battles are repetitive as hell. And none of the side content is interesting or engaging at all. And like I said, it feels like it was rushed at the door, and they didn't have enough, or it was just rushed, it was cashing, and they made it really quickly. So that is my impressions, my review sort of, I guess, not really a review, of Lego Superheroes. It's a huge disappointment. What happened to it?